This is Radio Now 95.3 FM.
Good afternoon, Lagos. Good afternoon, Nigeria. You are still tuned in to Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. I am Zainab Balogun Olo. How are you doing today? It is time for Express Lounge. And you know how we do it on Wednesdays. It is Woman Crush Wednesday. Yeah. Now, today we have someone who has spent over 20 years dedicated to transforming education in Africa. She's a passionate educator who makes learning fun for children under 18 through co-curricular programs. Her experience and influence led to her obtaining the exclusive rights to run the Scripps Spelling Bee of the USA in Ghana and now Nigeria, igniting a love for language and empowering thousands of young minds. She's a powerhouse in co-curricular learning and literacy innovation. Her trailblazing efforts are reshaping Africa's educational future, well, one at a time. Based on her work in education and with children, she has won so many awards and nominations, including she was listed as one of the BBC's African Women You Need to Know in 2017. She got a presidential recognition for her contribution to education in Ghana in 2019. If we continue to mention, we would run out of time. She's no other than Eugenia Tachie-Menson. Yay! You deserve a round of applause. I need to put that. Yeah, it's great to have you on the program today. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
All right. Eugenia Tachie-Menson is the country director at Young Educators Foundation and the convener of Spelling Bee in Nigeria. Yes, so where do we begin? Let me talk about your passion for education. Why do you have this so much passion, for education, empowering young minds, and, before we come into the launch of Spelling Bee in Nigeria?
Yeah, I think that as cliched as it may sound, education is responsible for where we all are. Education liberates. Education is not limited to in classroom, and education can be informal. And if you look at the SDG goals that the UN set, education is key. So we know that it's a global concept that we all need to tap into. And I think that as Africans, we do tap into it anyway, but it's the delivery that makes the difference. And that's where I come in. That's where my passion really lies. How we make education engaging for young people, because the rote memorization and the formulaic method of teaching tends to go over a lot of people, especially those who are art inclined. Yeah,
that's true. I think this is actually very important, because most persons, or growing up, you're just used to normal formal classes in class, and you forget that all this curricular activities could also help you. Now let's talk about the launch of Spelling Bee in Nigeria. I've always seen it, in the US. In fact, Aquila and the Bee was one that many people got to know about, Spelling Bee. Yeah. And so hearing that, it has debuted in Nigeria, I was quite excited about that. So what inspired that launch, and, how has it been so far?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. It started by, and not all, I just want to say that not all bad things that happen to you are intended for bad. So it started by us. Ghana is the only African country that participates in this global competition. There are 53 African countries out there, and there was 54 with South Sudan now. And so initially it sounded like it was a good thing. We're the only African countries, but by the third year we were beginning to feel lonely. And in feeling lonely, one of the words and the mantras that I live by is that action cures fear. And so in feeling lonely or any negative feeling, we started thinking, which country can join us in this feat that would give Africa the kind of attention that it deserves at this program. Not that we were not getting it, we just didn't like the kind of attention we were getting. The only does not, when you get to the table, this table that we all talk about, excuse me, you need to carry along others. And so that was why we lobbied and we really lobbied for Nigeria to come on board, and it took 16 years, by the way.
16 years.
Yes, it took 16 years. To
Wow.
get Nigeria to come on board, so it's no mean feat. But we're excited that it's happened at a time like this, because these are times that, especially a country like Nigeria, we all know how Nigeria is great. We do have our challenges as a people, but Nigeria single-handedly is making waves in the, if you take the political sphere, there's a Nigerian woman who's leading the Conservative Party in the UK, for example. If you take the music scene, whom will I not name? That's the thing about the music scene. And Afrobeats has become a genre that any musician worth their salt wants to collaborate with an Afrobeat. And this is all thanks to the size, and I think the bravado of the average the size of Nigeria, the bravado of the average. I think what I love about the Nigerian spirit is a can-do, go-getter, nothing puts me down. Even when I'm down, I will find something good about it and pull myself up again. So yes, that it was that led us to lobby for Nigeria to come on board. And once we got it, we were so excited. We got it mid 2024, and we thought, should we wait, because it was mid-year, really is not the best time to want to start anything. But we got a lot of interest and support from here, and I must say that what kept us going for the 16 years we kept pushing was Nigerian kids who kept sending us emails. That was where that was when my attention peaked. Why are these children, so as you say, Aquila and the Bee is popular, so that's why they cottoned on to it. Because once you knew about Aquila and the Bee, which is a movie, which was a reflection of what actually happens on the script stage, they started following the competition and found out that we were the only African country in there, and then they started coming through. So it wasn't just a happen chance. I think it was destined, and 16 years down the line, we're here, and we're so excited that Nigeria is coming along. We launched in August of 2024, and we currently have spellers in 4 states. So that's something that we're very proud of.
Okay.
Yes.
What 4 states, and why these 4 states?
So that's a good question. I mean, I keep saying that because you're asking the right questions. But the 4 states is not because we chose the 4 states.
Right.
So it's an opt-in program. So you get to opt in. Now, the unique thing, and that's why I was saying that even though it took us this long to get here, the time that it happened is good, because it's a virtual program. We run it virtually online.
Okay.
So anywhere in the country, you find yourself in Nigeria, so long as you have access to internet and data, you will be able to access the program. So that's how these 4 states access the program.
Okay.
It's basically virtual, it's online. When we do have the in-person sessions, but it's about 20% of the time.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. And so looking forward now, or maybe I go backwards, because I couldn't, help but ask, why did it take 16 years? Was it, what happened?
So we were pushing for 60. Every year we were pushing. It was always one thing or the other.
Okay.
It would be, we're not ready to open up yet. Because again, it's a brand that is very American and very inward looking and quite small. And so they were not sure that they could open up to, because the implications of opening up to other countries is numbers.
Okay.
And it was quite a small place, they hold it and what have you not. And also, as is with any venture, if you want to expand, you've got to have a strategy. And I think it wasn't something that had come to the fore. And so us putting in plans whenever we're lobbying, we were trying to we basically share a plan. This is how it should be run. This is how it can. A lot of the things we were telling them they didn't know about. For example, they didn't know the population of Nigeria. They didn't realize Nigeria was that large. They didn't realize again that Nigeria was a different country from Ghana, even though we're one people, we're separate in that. So it was a lot of education that was going on within those 16 years.
Okay.
Okay.
And so how has the journey been so far? How many people started? I know you've done the semi-finals.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it's been great. It has been great for a first year. I mean, if you consider what happened for the first year in Ghana, this is miles ahead of it. So we had, I think, close to about 200 students who enrolled initially. And by the time we were doing the semi-finals, we had about 120 students from schools all around, all across, and schools from all. So again, we had, I don't know how you call them here, but I wouldn't call there. So back in Ghana, we would call them. They are privately run public schools, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Do you get those kinds of schools? So
yeah.
It runs the national curriculum, but it's privately owned.
Okay.
As opposed
private
to
schools, that's what we call it.
Oh, you call them.
Okay. Public school is run by the government.
Got it,
yeah.
Got it. So we separate it a bit because when we say private schools, they typically run international curriculum.
Okay.
And so when you say private school, that's what everybody thinks in Ghana.
Okay.
When you say public school, it means the government run. When you say privately run public, it means someone has, someone has the rights to or permission to run the government. So that government has empowered somebody. Yes. So we have a mix of those. And at the end of the semifinals, we had 64 of national finalists who are heading off to the national finals to compete. And I just want to quickly add that the point about spelling competitions is really not about cramming words. It really is not about that, because there's a plethora of spelling competitions in many African countries I've been to, and the focus tends to be that. The focus tends to be, here's a list of words, master them, come back here and regurgitate them. So what ends up happening with a model like that is that your exposure to homophones, I'm getting a bit technical, but I'll explain. You know what homophones are.
Yeah,
so rain and rain.
Great.
So which rain are you going to ask the kid to spell? So you take it out because it's, you understand. So what you do by that is that you're limiting the child's vocabulary. Okay. The other big thing about our spelling competition, which is the point we're trying to cut across, and we're open to any other program that would want to latch on to us to let's run it together, is that the English language is a borrowed language. There are words of Yoruba origin in the Merriam-Webster dictionary. Okay, so the point is that because the English, I keep using this as an example.
Right.
As a Ghanaian, the first time I saw P-E-L-E for sorry in Yoruba, I said Pele. Okay, and I was told, no, that's not how you say it. You say Pele. Then I saw, I think Pomo. Then I think there's a Pelu. There's a guy called, So I was taught that, yes, Pelumi.
Yeah.
So I was taught that, no, when you see it, it comes with it because there's some accents on the.
Yes.
And so immediately, if I were to stand on stage and you ask me to spell Pelumi, I know that I'm hearing Pelumi, but there's no K in it.
There's
because
no K.
In Ghana, we would spell it with a K. It would mean that there's a K in there.
Yeah.
So the same analogy comes to the English. It is borrowed. Therefore, and French makes up about 30% of that. So it's a lot of French words. So crochet, sachet, we would say sachet, we would say crochet. But it is actually crochet and sachet. And the reason the pronunciation makes a difference is that you could be sounding the same thing, which means something else in the language.
Sure.
So I'll give you a classic example where I was with a group of Nigerians in Kenya mid last year, and they were watching the TV show, and I was in the same house. We were like in an Airbnb, same house, and I was in a kitchen. They said, "Oh, this Kenyan is an expat." I said, "A Kenyan in his own country cannot be an expat. It's not possible." Said, "No, I'm telling you." Long story short, in the evening, I sat with them watching the news, and I saw what they were trying to say, that the Kenyan was an expert. E-X-P-E-R-T. Right. I thought they were saying he was an expat. E-X-P-A-T.
Right.
So this is how mispronunciation brings gaps in communication. So the whole point about a program like this is to bring out some of the best communicators in Africa. If you listen to the Wole Soyinkers, and again some of your top university lecturers that I've had meetings with, You can't even tell. It's not, and someone had this conversation with me a few days ago that it's probably the mother tongue, and I said, no, it's not the mother tongue. The mother tongue has nothing to do with, okay, let me rephrase that. The mother tongue cannot have as much influence over another language. How do I mean? What I mean is that if the child, if you're Nigerian, if you were born in Ghana, you would speak fluently Ghanaian language because you're immersed in it culturally.
Right.
It's the same point. So it's the immersion into the language which is the challenge. If we are immersing our children in the formal education space, this is another reason why it's best not to be speaking English language with your children at home. Because the English you speak at home is not textbook English, or is not oral English certified. So you're better off speaking your mother tongue because you can communicate better. So the point is that if the child is exposed to the best way of speaking a language, they adopt it. That's why we see some Caucasians speaking Yoruba flawlessly, because they were immersed in the culture. So it's the same concept.
Maybe if you say that, because again, it comes to pronunciations, right? We're talking about this vegetable, examination, and it's how you're actually, taught in school.
Exposure.
Right. Now, let's come to the spelling bee.
Yes.
For Nigeria now, we're colonized by the British. This is the US. So you say schedule. The way they spell organize, they use Z, we use S. For instance, a Nigerian now, I don't know if, for Ghanaians too, you also use S. And they tell the students,
your word is such and such. Let's say your word is destabilize.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then you use S.
And then you are wrong.
Right.
Yes. So how does that help? I love this question. You are something else. So, yes, you are right. And I choose to say that as a people, we choose British English. I don't think that the fact that we were colonized by the British is why we're still using the British variant of the English language. Rwanda was colonized by France. Rwanda's dropped French and is using English now. So I'm a bit big on that. That let's not say that to our children. That's not why we're choosing to, because you can't change it. You're choosing not to change it. You're choosing not to go American. You're choosing to go British English, and that's also fine.
That's because that's what works in the country.
Does
and so because sometimes you spell like that, and they're telling you no, it's not Z, it is S, because we use British English.
I'm coming back to the question. Does it? Because the reason I'm asking that is this.
Right.
You're right. The textbooks in schools will give you, in our schools. So this is a lot of West Africa,
right.
Yeah. We would use British English. But the novels in our libraries, I love Chimamanda. I read Chimamanda's books. The setting is American, right? The computers and the phones you use, the setting is American. So if in the classroom you're teaching the child using the British variant of English, and then when they go to the library in the same school, the novels you're saying, make sure your reading has got color spelled without a U. And then in the classroom, you're teaching them color with a U. How do you explain the difference? That's not the school's job, though. Schools don't have enough time to do that for you. And this is why a program like this helps. So we have a concept called varieties of English. And it's okay to let the child know that it's almost as though you can wear this dress to work, but you can't wear this dress to school. So it's the same. You can use the British variant in a classroom in an exam. But when you're outside, you can use the color without a U, and that's fine. And that makes sense to all the children I've been working with and teaching. It makes sense. What hasn't made sense to them is why we insist they should spell it UR and not OR. And when you say because we were colonized by the British, they ask you, what does that mean? What do you mean? And then you actually realize that you are parroting something you haven't questioned yourself. Why are the British putting a gun to our heads to keep using their spelling?
So the thing is, for these participants now, do they understand that, when it comes to this spelling, they know I need to remove the U?
Yes.
So
but this is what a lot of people don't realize. Today's children were exposed to American English before British English. We all give them tablets. They're watching all these shows on TV, which is all American, by the way. They are also what's the other thing they do? They have gadgets, and they're reading novels that have the American spelling. Okay. So they actually can't. They don't know what the difference. They don't know what the fuss is. Right. We do. But they don't. Yes. So that's their advantage. That's the point I'm making. Yeah.
So how many finalists now? When is the final competition going to happen?
Yes, so we have 64 national finalists, and they're from Abuja, Lagos, Osun is the third, and I think is it Taraba? I'm not saying it right, forgive me. Taraba, thank you. Accent. Taraba, thank you so much. So we have 64 finalists from these states between the ages of, I think, 10 and 13, who will be vying for the ultimate prize.
Did you say between 8 and 13?
Yes, between 8 and 13. Okay. But this year somehow we didn't get a lot. Again, it was another thing we learned, that parents will say, "Oh no, you can't put my 8-year-old next to a 12-year-old." Right. But we say that if you understand how spelling works, it doesn't matter whether they are 8 or 10, because the concepts we teach in spelling is universal. Okay. So a prefix remains a prefix. The prefix UN means not. So unable, not able. Okay. So if you're an 8-year-old, you understand what that means. Unfortunate is what a 12-year-old will understand, but the un remains, right? So the concepts are universal. So it shouldn't matter. But again, we are educating, and it's our first year. So yes, it will come up on the 15th of February, which is Valentine weekend. So we're excited. Love of words. Those of us who love words. Right. Yes, love of words. And it will be held at the U.S. Consul General's residence in Ikoyi, lovely place. And we're so excited because they're one of our partners. We're so excited about this because it seems to be the first for everybody, even for the U.S. Consulate themselves, from what we understand. They've never held a kids program of this nature there, so we're excited about that, and we're looking forward to it. So as you say, yes, you'll be hearing some of these children spell words that you probably would have thought should be spelled differently.
Right. Okay. So how do people participate or engage as well?
All right, so basically, as regards this program, it's more of, especially if you want to watch our national finalists, we will ask you to go to our Facebook page or our YouTube page. So it's spelling bee in Nigeria. B the insect, not B the letter.
Right.
So yes, you go to and our social media handles, and we'll post all this information. But that's where you'll be watching. You'll be watching it from, because of the venue and limited seating availability. We've had to work this way around it. Now, if anybody, so this is the 2025 edition that we are crowning. We're going to find the one person who will win and go on to the US. And the US competition is actually 100 years old, and Nigeria is entering in that same year. There's something to be said for 100 and then one. Yeah, there's 100 and then one. Year 1, year 100. Yeah, just means that there's more zeros to be adding to the Nigeria one.
Okay, yes. We'll be rooting for Africa, that's Nigeria and Ghana, to actually win this.
The only the first person saying this, everybody tends to think there's some rivalry. I'm like, no rivalry. We've got to put together a united front to do this. That is the idea. I mean, if a Nigerian wins, great. If a Ghanaian wins, great. It's an African that's won, and that's what Africa wins when any one of the. We know that, right? We claim our own when we see our people. So so as regards this, I think that if people were, so it's what we do in terms of getting more people to. Who want access to the program really is that we run almost like a yearly system. So we never stop taking on enrollments. We take cohorts. We take people in cohorts. So whilst we're ending this one, the next cohort is underway. We're taking next cohort.
Okay.
It's already underway.
So how do people register for people, listening?
Thank you. So first of all, you could go to our website, spellingbeenigeria.ng. Again, the B is insect, so spelling bee in Nigeria. So there's 2 N's there. Yes, .ng, spellingbeenigeria.ng to register.
Right.
You can also WhatsApp us on +234 802-332-6273, or go to our Facebook or any of our social media handles, Spelling Bee Nigeria, and we will attend to you. We're looking for the best students in the country, and so we don't limit it to any state, any space.
Right.
Yeah.
So how does Nigeria's participation in the Spelling Bee also help brother, how do I put it now, education excellence, if that's how I put it? Some persons will think, well, it's just spelling bee. How does it really help me, right?
Yeah. So again, the concept of I think the bigger point that I think you raised earlier on is about co-curricular. So co-curricular means that together with what's happening in the classroom. So whilst your child is, say, learning English or maths or science or whatever other program they're doing should, within this context, should complement it. Now, the spelling bee complements all subjects.
Right.
All subjects. Because if you take medicine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Medicine, and I'm not saying science, I'm saying medicine. So medicine is Greek-based. Greek is one of the major languages that has influenced the English language. So elephantiasis, this SIS at the end is a suffix, and it relates to. So a lot of people will say, oh, this is a girls, it's girls who like reading. Typically, if you've watched the script spelling bee competition, it's normally children of Southeast Asian origin who tend to win. And they're not necessarily the best best readers, but there's a formula to spelling. Another example that I last year when I was training a few of the kids that chanced upon all of us. So the word penta, Penta, relates to the number 5. Therefore, pentagon.
Right.
5, right? Yeah. You didn't look at it that way, did you?
True.
Pentagon. Yes. So then one of the kids asked, "What about Pentecost?" I said, I honestly didn't know.
Right.
I said, I don't know. Why don't you go look it up and let's find out?
Okay.
So he came the next day. So I asked my parents. They didn't. I said, I didn't ask you to ask your parents. They wouldn't know because I don't know. But you should say. But when we looked into it, we noticed that Pentecost is 50 days after Easter.
So there's still a 5 in it.
There's a 5 in it.
All right, sadly, we have to wrap up now. If you can, in 30 seconds, are you planning on extending to maybe other African countries or other communities in 30 seconds? Because we have to wrap up.
Of course. Nigeria is the first and, as it were, the test, if we may say so, test of sorts. But yes, the idea is to go on to other African countries. And I want to use the opportunity to also acknowledge our partners in this endeavor. So Indomie Noodles is our title sponsor. And Checkers Custard is also our co-sponsor. And we've got support from the U.S. Consulate, Rotary Club of Victoria Island East. We've also got the American Business Council and Lucid Education Initiative. And yourselves for this lovely afternoon session you've had with me.
Thank you so much. We really do appreciate your time. We have been speaking with Eugenia Tachie-Menson. Thank you so much for being on the program and doing everything that you do. Education is one that is very important, in the country and outside of the country and in Africa. And hopefully, it's coming to Africa. Let's put it that way.
Thank you. I love that spirit.
All right.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM.